aging, so I started looking for wrinkles. To my surprise, I actually found some. They were in my clothes, other people's clothes, my bed sheets, everywhere. They were ridiculous. I also found some grey hair. This wasn't as much a surprise because, it was my dad, who is 50. But the wrinkles were a surprise. But also, another year older, I thought, how do you get to be another year younger? I think for most people, it's when you start to shrink. But I've noticed that for most women, it's when you hit the age of about 30. I think I've already started to get younger because I used to be 5'3", now I'm only 5'1". Why is it, whenever someone thinks of Australia, they never think of WA? Honestly, it's like the whole state has been cut off. So how can they forget WA though? It takes up a bloody third of Australia. It's not just people from other countries that forget WA though. East Aussies don't even know West Aussies exist. I'm a West Aussie, and sometimes I even forget WA exists. Is WA really that bad? Yes! Do we have to vote against daylight savings just to be noticed? Well, guess what? That didn't work. So, I devised a list of things that we could do to be noticed. We could make a 50-kilometre long banner and send it up into space. We could buy all the snow from around the world and finally have a white Christmas. We could have a massacre and kill everyone on the East Coast. We could have an oil spill on our shoreline. What's wrong with that? It works in Sydney. Or we could nick all of Mr. Hussein's nuclear weapons and threaten to kill John Howard. Actually, that one probably wouldn't work, would it? Of course, we couldn't do any of these things while the Olympics are on, because we just wouldn't be noticed. And so we'll have to wait till afterwards. You may have noticed, you may not have, but I'm pretty poor at the moment. I had to get my mum to drive me here tonight. Convinced her to because she hasn't done anything for me since I was 11, which coincidentally is when she bought me these clothes. I'm actually saving up for Melbourne at the moment. Don't know how much the city will cost me, but I'm pretty proud of my 5 cents. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Domenica Claus. I'm probably one of the only people that can pronounce my name correctly. As Alan said, it's Dominica, which is quite annoying. Yes, don't blame me for that. Blame my parents because it's not my fault. Just before I get on with the jokes, I'd like to mention that I started Year 12 this week. The word matrix has come up quite a few times by my maths teacher in my maths book, but not once have I heard or read Keanu Reeves' name, which was quite surprising. Yes, and yesterday I was quite insulted when I found myself outside my chemistry classroom and some Year 8s came up to me and said, "Oh, is this your classroom?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But they thought it was their classroom as well, and so they thought I was Year 8. And yeah, and when I told them I was Year 12, they didn't believe me. And so I had to take out my timetable, and they looked at it, and they realised that I was Year 12. Okay, and last year, less than a month before Christmas, I turned 16. I was quite worried about the effects of aging, so I started looking for wrinkles. To my surprise, I actually found some. They were everywhere, actually. They were in my clothes, other people's clothes, my bed sheets. They were everywhere. It was ridiculous. I also found some grey hair. This wasn't as much a surprise because, well, it was my dad's and he's 50. But the wrinkles did surprise me. I thought how people say you're another year older, and I thought, how do you get to be another year younger? And I think for most people, it's when you start to shrink. But I've noticed in women, it's when you start, when you hit the age of about 30. I have already started to get younger because I used to be 5'3", now I'm only 5'1". I also had another thing on my mind quite a lot. It's about Australia and how come whenever someone thinks of Australia, they never think of WA. Honestly, it's like the whole state has been cut off. But it's not just people from other countries that forget WA though. East Aussies don't even know West Aussies exist. I'm a West Aussie, sometimes I even forget WA exists. Is WA really that bad? Do we have to vote against daylight savings just to be noticed? Okay, well guess what? That didn't work. So, I provided a list of things that we could do to be noticed. We could make a 50-kilometre long banner and send it off into space. We could buy all the snow from around the world and finally have a white Christmas. We could nick all of Mr. Hussein's nuclear weapons and threaten to kill John Howard. Actually, that one probably wouldn't work, would it? Because no one would care that he was dead. Or we could have an oil spill on our shoreline. What's wrong with that? It works for Sydney. Okay, well, last thing I'd like to say is that you might notice that the clothes that I'm wearing are actually my grandma's hand-me-downs because I'm pretty poor. And saving up in Melbourne at the moment, don't know how much the city will cost me.